Nineveh, 695 BCE. At the heart of the mightiest empire the ancient world has ever known, beneath stone reliefs where winged bulls stand eternal guard, a woman works in near darkness. Her name is Kalmaya. Her village is ash. Her freedom, a memory worn smooth by years of grief. Yet her fingers move with the authority of someone who has never truly surrendered. Thread by thread, she pulls raw silk across the warp, crimson, ochre, the deep blue of a sky she is rarely permitted to see. The smell of lanolin and dye fills her lungs. The loom clicks its relentless rhythm like a heartbeat she cannot silence. She is property in the ledgers of the palace quartermaster. But in the fabric she creates, something else breathes entirely. Soon, that something will be called upon to speak. He summons her at dusk, when the palace torches bleed orange light across cedar-paneled walls. General Tukulti-Ashur, conqueror of 3 campaigns, bearer of the lion standard, now lies diminished against his cushions, chest rattling like dry seed pods. His attendants bring Kalmaya forward through smoke and incense, past walls carved with his own victories, his own gods. She reads the room with a weaver's precision. The unguents prepared for a dying man, the priests already murmuring, the lapis blue loom awaiting her like an altar. The commission is spoken in grave, ceremonial terms. A burial shroud of surpassing glory, worthy of the underworld's great judges. Kalmaya bows, fingers pressed to the cold tile floor. But even as she accepts, something in the general's fevered eyes tells her this shroud is meant to carry more than a dead man's honor. The dye market reeks of pomegranate rind and crushed indigo, the tigress churning brown and indifferent beyond the reed-woven stalls. Kalmaya moves carefully, a basket of raw mordant balanced against her hip, her eyes reading the crowd the way a weaver reads warp threads, for tension, for breaks, for hidden patterns. Then a Babylonian merchant, fingers stained the deep violet of royalty, presses a clay token into her palm beneath a bolt of crimson wool. His touch is brief, deliberate. The news he carries is seismic. Mede and Babylonian forces are tightening around Nineveh like a noose drawn slow. Liberation is no longer legend. It is measured in marching days. In that breathless, dusty moment, Kalmaya understands that the shroud beneath her hands is no longer merely a burial cloth. It is a weapon waiting to be threaded. Tonight, no lamp is lit in the weaving quarter. Kalmaya works by the thin mercy of starlight bleeding through cracked mud brick, her fingers tracing paths that are not decoration, they are directions. Each knot of indigo thread marks a pillar. Each chevron of saffron yellow traces a corridor. The Watergate, memorized in stolen glances, now breathes inside the border of a dead man's shroud. The loom whispers its dry wooden rhythm like a heartbeat she dare not quicken. Sweat salts her lips. Around her, the great city of Nineveh sleeps, confident in its own eternity. Its lion hunts carved in stone, its kings pressed into legend. It does not know what her hands are doing. One misread thread, one guard's torch around the corner, and everything ends. But the shroud grows, and within it, so does the possibility of escape, and of something far more dangerous than freedom. The lamp oil burns low in the weaving quarter, and Overseer Nabusharu moves through the amber dark like a man who trusts nothing. He lifts the shroud with thick, ring-heavy fingers, turning it toward the flame. His eyes trace the border, the intricate chevrons, the nested lozenges, The deliberate geometry that Kalmaya has woven with shaking hands over 3 stolen nights. She stands perfectly still, her breathing measured, her face a mask carved from necessity itself. The cedar smoke air thickens around them. He searches for guilt in her expression, and finds only reverence. A slave honoring the god Ashur, nothing more. She has given him exactly what he wishes to see. He sets the shroud down. His suspicion does not vanish. It only retreats. And Kalmaya understands, with cold certainty, that the next examination will not be so easily survived. Kalmaya carries the shroud through corridors thick with cedar smoke and the low drone of temple priests. The linen is warm against her arms, deceptively ordinary, its hidden threads coiled like a sleeping serpent beneath the surface. The general lies on his ivory-paneled bed, his breath shallow as the last water in a siege-dry well. He speaks. His hand, liver-spotted and trembling, gestures toward her with something almost resembling grace. "Freedom," he offers. A word she has learned to hold at arm's length, like a lamp that burns the fingers of the hopeful. She bows her head, not in gratitude, but in the ancient posture of endurance. The shroud passes from her hands into his household forever, and somewhere within its silent weave, her message waits, patient as stone, for the city's walls to crack. The fires come at dawn. Across the eastern plains, 10,000 torches blur into a single burning horizon. The armies of Babylon and Median, patient as fate, closing upon Nineveh's ancient walls. In the weaving quarters, looms stand abandoned. Cedar oil lamps shatter on limestone floors. The air carries ash and the low, terrible thunder of siege drums. Kalmaya stands motionless in the chaos, her hands still bearing the stain of indigo and pomegranate dye. Hands that have already released their secret into the world. The shroud is gone, carried beyond the walls in a general's funeral procession 3 days past. Whether the right eyes have read its hidden geography, whether her people will find the river crossing she so carefully mapped in silk, she cannot know. In Nineveh's final hours, an enslaved woman's greatest act of defiance rides somewhere in the dark, and the darkness has not yet answered. The Tigris runs black beneath a moonless sky. Smoke from the outer districts curls inward like a dying breath. Kalmaya moves without hesitation. She has traced this passage 10,000 times in silk thread, her fingers knowing every turn before her feet do. The water gate, ancient and half-submerged, exhales the cold rot of river reeds and forgotten stone. Behind her, 8 souls press close, breathing shallow, boots muffled in river mud. Above, Babylonian war drums pulse across the plain like a second heartbeat, overtaking the city's own. She had woven this escape into a dead man's shroud, a map disguised as mourning, defiance dressed as devotion. The encoded path was never meant for him. It was always meant for this moment. But the far bank offers no safety yet, only the vast, unwitnessed dark of a world being remade by fire. From the hillside above the Tigris, Kalmaya watches the city consume itself. Nineveh, that roaring, magnificent wound of a city, bleeds fire into the summer sky. The smell of burning cedar drifts across the plain, sweet and terrible, indistinguishable from incense. She has known both. Around her, survivors press together in silence, their faces lit amber by a civilization's end. She does not cheer. She has left too much behind in those stone corridors. Years, names, the faces of the dead woven into shrouds no one will ever read. In her fist she holds a single thread of deep crimson silk, the last she will ever carry from that place. It is not a trophy. It is a wound kept open. But the message she wove into the general's burial cloth is already moving through the darkness toward those who need it most. Years have passed. Empires have crumbled to dust and river silt. But in a modest weaving room beyond Nineveh's collapsed gates, Kalmaya's hands, older now, traced with the fine scars of 1,000 threads, guide younger fingers across a loom of tamarisk wood. The pattern she teaches is ancient, encoded, alive. Each knot holds a name. Each color carries a memory the conquerors never found. The smell of madder root and indigo fills the air. Outside, Babylonian soldiers patrol roads that were once Assyrian. They do not look at weavers. They never do. And so the knowledge survives, not in stone, not in bronze, but in the quiet geometry of silk. Somewhere, carried westward on a merchant's cart, another piece of this pattern begins its long journey toward hands not yet born.